300 million people being affected by asthma, or what we also call as asthma. That's close to 5% of the world's population, and it's a huge number, and you need to understand what exactly is asthma in your own language. Now, what exactly is asthma? It's basically an inflammatory reaction within few individuals wherein there is narrowing of your airway. What it means is that your airway, which consists of air that you breathe in through the nostrils, then your trachea, bronchus and bronchioles. Basically, it's a pipeline network that pushes air from the surrounding air atmosphere to your lungs. If that airway, that pipeline system gets narrowed or constricts, that is what is asthma, and it happens due to inflammation. It can happen in other conditions also, but there is a reaction, inflammatory reaction in few individuals which causes the constriction of this airway. This inflammatory reaction is what constitutes or causes your asthma or your asthma. Now, what exactly are the causes? So the first cause or the major cause is atopy. Atopy is basically characterized by a triad of inflammatory reactions within few individuals which have atopic dermatitis, allergy on the skin, plus they have rhinitis, allergic rhinitis, that these people have chronic cold and cough whenever there's a seasonal change or some allergen triggered, and they have asthma. So the triad of this is called as atopy, and it is found in few individuals, and this is one of the major reasons. So allergic reaction, hypersensitivity to some allergens, which causes a hyperallergic reaction or allergic reaction causing inflammation, which causes constriction or narrowing of the airway, is one of the major reasons of asthma. Then there are other reasons like passive smoking, few infections, then there are few indoor and outdoor allergens, then there is genetic influence, there is gender influence. These are minor reasons what may cause asthma, but the major reason is atopy, wherein there is a hyperallergic reaction in the airway in few individuals. Hyperallergic means there is an allergen that comes in normal people, it will just cough it out, but in people who are having asthma or atopy, it will cause a reaction within that airway which causes the airway to constrict, and this reaction is inflammatory reaction. Now, why is this important? This is important to understand that people who have asthma and can recognize their trigger factors which are actually causing an asthmatic attack, they need to completely avoid it. Like for few individuals, it can be dust. For few individuals, it can be flour. For flour, as in the what we use, wheat flour is the flour I'm referring to. Then in few individuals, it could be pollens which are found in the season, like in February and March. There can be various other reasons which may cause an asthmatic attack, and people who are having asthma need to recognize these trigger factors and stay away from them as much as possible. But yes, once you've been diagnosed with asthma, your doctor would recommend you treatments. The treatments generally are classified into two broad categories. One is bronchodilators and the second is controllers. What bronchodilators are used are for the acute attack of asthma. Bronchodilators generally include the salbutamol and terbutaline. What exactly these are? These are beta adrenergic agonists. So what it actually does is, immediately when you take a puff of salbutamol or terbutaline, your airway dilates. The narrowing immediately dilates. What it does, it relaxes the muscles of your airway system. When these muscles relax, they dilate and allow entry of air into your airway, and you get an immediate relief when you have an acute attack of asthma. What this brings us to a point is to realize that people who are having asthma or are being diagnosed with asthma, they need to carry these bronchodilators at each and every point. So at any given second, they should have an access to bronchodilators not less than 1 minute of their distance, or even lesser than that. So that means if you're suffering from asthma, or if one of your loved ones is suffering from asthma, you need to carry these bronchodilator puffs with you at all times, each and every second, because these can be helpful and life-saving in an acute attack of asthma. Because in an acute attack, there is narrowing constriction, and suddenly when you don't get oxygen, you may have multiple problems and it can even lead to death. So that's how important it is to carry your bronchodilators. Then obviously there are other bronchodilators which I'm not discussing right now due to the technicalities of the drugs. The second are the controller medications. The controller medications generally include the corticosteroids. These corticosteroids, taken through puffs as inhalers or sometimes systemic in severe cases, generally provide a long-term relief. How? Because corticosteroids are known to reduce the inflammatory reaction. Corticosteroids across are used for reducing the inflammatory reaction, as you also see, or as you have already seen in the case of COVID-19, when corticosteroids were used to reduce the inflammatory reaction in the lungs. Similarly, in asthma, the corticosteroids are used to reduce the inflammatory reaction within the airway on a long-term basis, and this controls asthma or even prevents an acute attack of asthma. And these are hence called as controller medications. Obviously, in controller medications, we do have different kinds of medications like the immunomodulators, then mast cell stabilizers. But yes, this is not the scope of discussion right now. The scope of discussion is then there are bronchodilators which are for acute attack, and there are controller medications which prevent an acute attack. So hence, no matter what, you may miss a dose of steroid as a puff controller medication, but you cannot afford to not have a bronchodilator within your access if you're an asthmatic patient. So that's all from my side. It was a very short, simple video to explain you what asthma is or what asthma is and why is it important for you to carry the medications along with you if you or any of your loved ones are having or have been diagnosed with asthma. And if you like the video, please do like, share and subscribe, and don't forget to watch my next video. Thank you.